I'm going to make a video. It's probably going to be a long video. And so it's not going to be perfect. That's okay. It doesn't have to be perfect. I'm not trying to make a perfect video. I'm working on something, though. I'm working on a face. I'm working on a head. Here we go. Where is my camera? Right there. This is what I'm working on. This is the thing. It's, I don't know what you can call it. It's like a lizard or a dinosaur or alligator head or whatever. You know. But that's what I want to work on right now. This is going to be kind of hard to varnish because it's rather large and it's kind of awkward shape, strange shape. But I want to talk about reality for a moment here. You know, the nature of things. How do things work in the world? You know, sometimes we have ideals, and all of us can be idealists, in the sense that we have an ideal. You know, like justice, for example. See, I kind of believe in reality, that there's no such thing in reality as justice. Justice doesn't exist. And I mean that in a very specific way. I know a lot of people say, oh my God, there's no justice. Ah! But no, I mean, yeah, there really isn't. Justice is kind of like triangles. Yes, there's no triangles in the world. Oh my God, there's no triangles. Ah! They don't exist. You know, Einstein said that straight lines don't exist in the universe. They don't exist. No such thing as a straight line. There's no such thing as a line, actually, geometrically speaking. If you think about the very definition of a line, they can't possibly exist. But you know what? We don't have a problem with that fact. No, you can't. There's no evidence or proof for lines, but yet we go along with the ideal. See, here's the thing. I kind of think of God as being something like that. God is an ideal about something. We don't argue whether or not lines exist and say, well, we can't think about lines or talk about them or use geometry or do anything until first we have to prove that a line exists. You know, that would be like saying, I can't start my car until I prove that my car exists. You know, how do I know it's not an illusion? How do I know I'm not being tricked and deceived? So we could sit there and we could be like Rene Descartes, and we can sit there and we can talk about it all day and look at it and examine it. But I could be being deceived by some force on the other side of the universe that's got me believing I have a car. You know, no. In real life, you got to get in your car, you drive it and you deal with it and you work with it every day, and you don't have to answer the question. You don't have to answer the question, does my car exist, in order for me to drive it? No. You don't look for the answer to the question. You simply drive your car, you know. And this is the way I look at life. You know, we don't have to get into this thing of asking the question, is there a God? We can go ahead and believe it. You can go right ahead and believe that there is a God without having to answer the question, does God exist? Just like we can believe that there's such a thing as justice without really answering the question, is there really such a thing as justice? My own take on it is I don't think there is such a thing as justice. Justice is just a concept. It's an ideal about something. It's not something in the world. But even when we come to that conclusion that no, there is no such thing as justice, we act as if there were. And that's what's important. We act as if justice existed. Just like there's no such thing in the world as beauty. In reality, there's no such thing as beauty. Beauty is a concept. It's an ideal. That which is pleasing to the senses. What's pleasing to the senses? Different things. You know, I might have a thing about fat ladies. I like fat women. You know. Somebody else might think, oh, that's ugly. I like skinny women. You know. I'm just looking at it from a male's point of view. But the thing is it true? You know, are fat women beautiful? Well, they might be. Are short women beautiful? Are tall women beautiful? black women beautiful, white women beautiful, Chinese, Indian, African, European. What's beautiful? What's not beautiful? And what should we take? I like my little thing. It's just so cute. This little thing I'm working on. But we get into these questions of what's beautiful and what's not beautiful. I guess we could talk about it all day. Or what's justice? Was I treated in a just manner? Like with Bank of America, did I get justice? What would I consider justice? They took money out of my account, causing everything to bounce. I had to pay $34 fee. I just got a check for $34. But I had to go through a lot of stuff, making phone calls, going through stuff, all the hours I had to go through. I could say, well, they should compensate me for that. But I don't even demand that because I'm not going to get compensated. So I accept what I got. But if I were living in a different culture that actually had rules that said that companies, if they inconvenience you, not only do they have to give you back money, like in a case like this, but they have to give you a monetary compensation too, called aggravation and frustration. Then I would think I'm being treated unjustly because I haven't got my money yet. But that's because of suggestion of an ideal. Again, it's all about mental constructs, about what we consider to be just or unjust. Once an ideal is suggested to you is what you should consider justice, then you start then you become conscious of it. See, that's the thing. It's kind of like building a consciousness of a fact. Let's say, for example, if you lived in a culture where everybody worked their asses off and they got very little food, very little thing, you might not think it's unjust if that's just what you grew up with all your life. You might even think it's a blessing to get the little things you get. You get a handful of potatoes and a handful of rice and maybe a couple of pieces of meat. And if that's all you ever got, and that's all everybody ever got that you knew, except for the people at the top who owned everything, you might consider yourself, wow, I'm blessed. Maybe this time I got 3 pieces of meat instead of 2. I got a handful and a half, of rice, and that's, wow, this is a great blessing. You could think of it that way. It's a matter of what you're conscious of. Life is like that at times. What do we consider justice? It's not a particular thing in the world, as I said, but it's a consciousness of a thing. It's a consciousness of something being the case. The bank doing bad things, what I consider to be bad, what I'm conscious of as being bad. What the rules are, what is culture, because we grew up in a culture. Without a culture, we don't have an ideal of justice, of something being just or unjust. It requires not only just what we observe, but even a culture and a bunch of rules. And that's what I think about. That's all I have to say. Because I know I'm just rambling on, so let me stop.